Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everyone, welcome on in. Happy Tuesday to you. Thanks for being with us on the program. Jeremiah, Jensen, Alex, Kirry. I'm Alex. He's JJ. Our producer's Alex Napolis. This is a Napolis production.
Kind of jealous that my name's not Alex.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest.
My wife one time was like, how many freaking Alexes are there?
Not enough.
I go,
There's too many Alexes.
there's a lot.
If there's another Alex out there that wants to join the show,
Look, I was the original.
send your resume to.
I was the original, and then everybody started coming into the building.
Oh, I'm the original.
I'm just gonna go by.
How hipster of you.
I'm gonna go by Alexander.
I was Alex before everyone else
Are you?
was.
Are you Alexander though? Full on.
I am not, no.
So you're just an Alex.
I'm an Alexis.
Oh,
We're
Hey,
going.
we did-
We're going that route.
we just learned something about Napolis.
We're going
your
that
name's
route.
really Alexis.
That's why. That's the problem though. Is I would actually start making Alexa requests. I'd be like, "Hey Alexis, can you turn on the music that I want to hear?" You're our Alexa. You need to just be Alex. It's fine. I'm gonna start going by Alexander. That's what my grandma called me, Alexander.
That's something that
Oh, yeah.
feels like you're in trouble anytime.
No, I
somebody
know.
calls you that.
No, it's like my grandma always used it.
I did get Alexander whenever I was in trouble.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Grandma said it to me with a big old cigarette in her hand with like the big ashes on it, and she's like, Alexander, and I'd be like, oh boy, I'm about to get something here. Do you wanna
Whenever I heard Alejandro,
Oh,
I knew
you're
it was over.
toast. You're toast.
that's trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandma would be like, "Do you want a Star Crunch?" When I'd mow grandma's lawn every week when we moved back to Seattle, and like it was good because I got to hang out with grandma. You know,
What was her brand?
it was really bad. Benson and Hedges. I don't even think that's a
wow.
thing anymore.
I don't think it is.
I'm glad. Isn't it funny? Like, listen.
You're pretty sophisticated when your cigarettes sound like a law firm.
Oh, that was what they were going for. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Probably
grandma.
the same law firm that sued the tobacco
Yeah,
companies.
I don't know how she made it to 84. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how.
84.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been 154 if she. I think based off of what she like. It's
what
just
could have
crazy.
been.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot to go on the program today. Thanks for being with us. And I say a lot. We only have an hour of a show. Thanks back-to-back Mammoth East Coast Florida games. Tampa Bay last night. I said this, JJ, to our producer, and I said I was like, yes, if they can go into the third period and it's 0-0. I mean, because it was a goalie and defensive battle.
It was.
Man, there was like 2 minutes left in the second. They gave up that first goal, and I went,
Mammoth played good.
They played well. It was not the 8-0 deal from last year. There was a nice fight thrown in there.
Or two.
But like blood, those are always fun. The blood fights, those are the ones that like mean something. And when
Sean Dursey cussing out the guy that he
right,
got
but
in a
when
fight
they,
with.
you know, when they do the,
You saw the video, I'm sure, if you've been on
of
social
course,
media.
oh yeah,
F you!
it was like, I know
That's
everyone's
such
all.
great
I don't think
hockey
you need.
footage.
I don't think you need mouth readers for
I
this
knew
one.
exactly what Sean Dursey
Bring in
said.
the best bring in the best lip readers in the business. I want to
And then a
get
fan
exactly
leans
what he
into
said.
the shot and gives Dursey the bird.
I know.
I love hockey.
Listen, but that's what it's about because it was a moment where it was like, hey, because that guy came after him for hitting the rookie on their team, you know, and it's like, but I like that it got to the point where they actually, I mean, because Dursey had. Does he have a tooth gone? I mean, most hockey players do, but it looked more emphatic last night. He didn't have the crown. You don't wear the crown when you don't wear the partial when you're in the game because it could just kind of get knocked out again. Or do you take it out right when the fight starts? Put it in your pocket.
These are great questions.
Put it in your hockey pocket.
We need a hockey player in here. Give us the answers.
That was
what do you do with your teeth, bro?
It was a good game. But they're in Florida tonight, or they're at the Florida Panthers tonight. We'll see if they can sneak one between these next two games. Just get one of these, I say. I have low expectations. Just get one of these, and then you're 2-2 on the road trip.
Get tonight
okay
to
with that.
overtime.
Yeah,
Get
and
over
listen,
that.
they get one more win on this trip, and they're into that 60-point category.
Yeah.
And then and they already kind of made a little bit of separation between the rest of everybody else. They're in this weird ground where they can make it up with they could catch the Wild at some point here in the second half. So we'll see. Lots to go of hockey, and then tonight, of course, you've got that one fired up. We've got lots on the program. Like I said, our show, as always, is kicked off with the cut, top of the program. Let's make it official, and let's get serious about it. Stop talking about my grandma's cigarettes right now with the cut. Let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Kicking off the show with one of our favorite guests here in a moment, Jonathan Tavernari, JT, of course, former BYU Hooper, joins the program on a weekly basis, talks some college hoops. And last night, of course, JJ was the big one. Everybody waiting on that number one Arizona team coming into Provo. It happened, and it was a very similar game to what we saw kind of at the beginning of the season with BYU, who like to get behind against teams.
It's a problem.
Did it against UConn. They came back and won a lot of games. You notice that finishing off the best of the best is a very tough thing to do if that's your game plan. Not really their game plan. I'm sure they wanted to play a lot better. I'm sure they wanted to shoot a lot better with their big three. I'm sure Richie Saunders did not want to be in foul trouble and then end up fouling out at the end of the game, and you're sitting on the bench when your team's down one with 11 seconds to go. While the dramatics were awesome, I said this at the very top of it, I didn't like that you were down most of this game. I didn't like that you were down double digits. So you can complain about whether or not the Rob Wright, the third, having the ball at the end of the game was the right call or not, or if even that was the call. But I think the bigger problem is slow starts and trying to overcome those types of big leads against the number one team in the country. What I got from that is BYU has the ability to go deep, deep, deep in the NCAA tournament. But things have to go well with those top three. And it's a bummer that it ended like that. However, it was an exciting game. You took the number one team down to the wire. You remember last year when they were in Tucson, and that one went, I don't know if it went to overtime, but a similar game.
No, it was the Richie foul at the end.
That's right. It was like 91-90 or 93-92. 92.
They got robbed.
Right. And so
I think there was a lot of feeling like, it was our turn.
There was some payback, but like I said, I don't want to get so far into whether or not the X's and O's that were drawn up by KY at the end of the game were good enough, or if Rob Wright should have been shooting that last shot. It was about the way you get started in these games, and they were down by 19 at one point in the second half, and I went, this is not the way to do it. Join us on the program right now, Jonathan Tavernari. JT, did you catch that game last night by chance?
I was there. As you guys know, I do pre, post, and halftime shows for BYU TV and ESPN, and so
and you're phenomenal, by the way.
It's really good.
I appreciate that. That's why Alex reached out to me, JJ, and said, I just can't take Jeremiah no more. I'm looking for a substitute. Let's try JT for a little bit. So, all jokes aside, it was a fantastic game. It had like a Sweet 16 vibe to it, right? And the reason why I say Sweet 16 and not Elite 8 or Final Four is just because, BYU has some work to do. And, for about 35 minutes, Arizona looked flawless. And I don't exaggerate. They looked flawless. And then, at the end of the game, BYU, mounted a comeback. And I agree with you guys. You don't win and lose a game on the last shot. There were so many things BYU could have done, in the first half for pretty much most of the second half, and they didn't. And so to just get hung up on the fact that the ball went to Rob Wright, who had a wide-open look for a layup, but then someone made an incredible defensive play. But it was a phenomenal basketball game last night in Provo.
Where do you attribute to the first half issues that BYU's having this year? You take away the first half, and this team is elite, but the first half has been an issue, even in some games where they should have cruised. I remember the Delaware game. Was it Delaware? I mean, they've had games this year where – like they don't play like they're capable of playing in the first half. Then they show up in the second half. A couple times this year it's been too late, and last night was one of those nights. What are you seeing in the first half?
To your point, that has happened multiple times. Albaline Christian, Delaware, like in some games that you're like, geez, like the lights are on, the popcorn, the corn is popping, like we got to go.
Yeah.
And is just one of those things that I just don't understand. Like it's become a running joke where I say, can Kevin Young make the adjustments, instead of halftime? Can he make them before the game? Like, whatever pep talk is happening, between the first and the second half, can that happen before the game? And, I don't know if maybe the players need to get a feel for it. They just need to get going. I will say this, BYU is counting heavily on Rob Wright III, AJ DiBonsa, and Richie Saunders. It is borderline too much. And, yesterday we saw a little bit of, flashes of Mihailo Boskovic, getting some shots up and actually forcing a little bit of shots, which I'm totally fine with. We saw Alexei Kostic, that actually came in and knocked down a couple of threes and kind of ignited that little run they had in the last 7-8 minutes. And so, maybe is it something that, because these guys have such a big load to carry, they are just kind of like waiting to get going and get their bodies going, right? But I will say that if I had the answer for that, I would probably be part of, Kevin Young's staff instead of being talking over here with you guys today.
Hey, don't dog that. That's a good second choice, all right? Talking with us, it's a good second chance.
It could be worse, guys. It could be definitely worse, I'll tell you that. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
So when you watch this thing go down and we were talking about Richie being on the bench with, fouling out and anytime that the big three don't do it, that those are these games and they were in it. I mean, obviously you're down 1 with 11 seconds. It was a very different tune from 3 minutes left when they were down 11 or 9 or whatever it was. And yeah, the big comebacks have been happening. I think that you see also that the big comebacks against really, really good teams fall short. They did it against UConn, and people are pointing that out. And I feel bad for Rob Wright because they're like, yeah, and he fumbled the ball at the end of the UConn game too. And I'm like, I think we're missing the point here. You can get away with it against teams like Delaware, even Clemson, right, where they end up having that last second, this miracle shot that was awesome. Except like against the number 1 team in the country and against the number 3 team in the country who have multiple national championships recently, it's just harder to do it, and it's not something you can count on.
Well, listen, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second because you're totally correct on what you're saying. It's a true statement. It's fine. Nevertheless, I'm going to play the other side of the coin here, which is if this team has aspirations of going to the Final Four, who are they going to face down the road? Are they going to face Delaware and, Boo Boo State University College? Or are they going to face, UConn and Arizona and Texas Tech, right? Who are they going to face? And, to your point, the Clemson game was it was my first time in Madison Square Garden. It was an incredible atmosphere to be. It was amazing. Nonetheless, to have to crawl back in these games, the amount of energy, I mean, both of you know this, the amount of energy, it doesn't matter the sport that we're talking about, the amount of energy it takes from, to be able to go from down 20 to a 1-possession game, it's incredible. And so, and maybe that's just the MO for this team. Just like it's the MO for this team that, Richie, Rob, and AJ have to score 70% of their points. And so, but again, right, BYU doesn't really have a marquee win this year, if you really stop to think about it, which it's a knock on them, right? It is something, it's an issue that they're facing right now. They played, I think it was Wisconsin when Wisconsin was number 25 in the country, blew them out, right? Wisconsin did have a really good win against Michigan, but hasn't done much since. Clemson remains pretty much their best win of the season. But when you look at all of that, they couldn't get the job done against number 15 Texas Tech on the road, couldn't get the job done against number 3 UConn on a neutral site, and couldn't get the job done on at home against number 1 Arizona. Now I'm going to be, put on my blue goggles. Well, geez, JT, look at the 3 games you just talked about. They have, 3 losses on the season, and they're all to top 15 teams in the country. You're right. But again, this is not 2007, JJ, that you covered us, where our goal was to just make to the NCAA tournament. This is a roster of over $15 million in NIL. This is a roster made up for you to get to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, the Final Four. And so expectations have to be counted on. And so at that point, BYU doesn't have really something that they can hang their head on yet, and which is what makes the Saturday matchup in Kansas beyond important, and personally, I'll say this, and I don't know if anybody on the program that I'm connected to would say this, right, or at least they wouldn't say it out loud, with massive consequences in terms of who's going to be picked ahead. Is it AJ or Darren? Is BYU worthy of a top 4 NCAA, seeding? There is a lot at stake on Saturday, more than just a win on the road on the Big 12.
You look at the stats, and A.J. DeBonsa, 6 of 24. Rob Wright, 3 of 16. They combined to go 9 of 40. Do you think that there's a little bit of – you mentioned the toll that those big three have had to carry, and Richie obviously got in foul trouble. Are they getting exhausted here, and is that a product of the lack of depth on this team? Is that a concern?
Yeah, and I will – again, I'm going to play devil's advocate because is there a lack of depth on the team? Absolutely. BYU also have been very lucky because they were very much counting on Nate Pickens being a backup point guard to help Rob Wright. He got hurt before the season even started. Dawson Baker emerges as a senior leadership guy to be able to offset and have a little bit of ball handling duties. Hurt and done for the season. Brody Kozlowski, whom I am extremely close to the Kozlowskis, and Brody and I work extensively together on the summertime. JJ, you follow him in high school. I feel like he played a lot like I did. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Big body, tall guy, can shoot.
Knocked
and so
through, yeah.
And Brody gets hurt. And so, it's just one of those things like AJ, a global icon and all of that. Nevertheless, AJ is still just a freshman. The load that he's been asked to carry, it is nuts. Well, yeah, but he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. You're right. But he's still 19 years old. It's, there's a reason why LeBron James is LeBron James, right? Kobe Bryant didn't have to do all of this at 19. And so, I think you're absolutely hitting the nail right on the head. That's why I've been so adamant. If you go back on the show and listen to the times you guys have me on, I'm saying someone else needs to step up. Someone else needs to step up because the Big 12 is very much a grind.
Speaking of a grind, the Cougs face off against Kansas, of course, this Saturday, another big one that's going to be on a big stage. Everyone will be able to watch it on a Saturday on ESPN. Then they go to Oklahoma State, which last year – it was not a good Oklahoma State team, and they got them down there in Stillwater. Meaning Oklahoma State got them. It was just one of those weird games. It was just not on they weren't themselves. And there's no time for that, right? But then you got Houston. You go to Arizona.
It doesn't stop.
You got Iowa State the game after that. And so you just and everybody has little numbers next to their names when you get to this part of the schedule, JT. There's no time to be able to – every one of these games – I'm trying to figure out when you said they don't have something to hang their hat on. In these moments, though, everything could get turned around on a dime as soon as you start to get a win against Kansas, maybe at Kansas again. They've done it before. Or they host Houston and they beat Houston. Or they go down to Tucson and they maybe beat Arizona. All of these things, to be able to flip it around, then you can hang your hat really quickly in this league because the teams are all so good and they're all ranked.
Well, as you said, a quick turnaround. It reminded me of the incredible job you guys did. Alex, I know that you're covering the Olympics in Paris. Amazing job. And it just reminded me of the quick turnaround you guys would talk about for some of the athletes in the Olympics. And I think to your point, it's not like in the Mountain West, right, JJ, where we would go to Wyoming and just smack them and then go to Fort Collins, and smack Colorado State and go to Colorado Springs and just beat up on Air Force. Like, to your point, they're like, it is a juggernaut after a juggernaut. And the crazy thing is, we all thought Houston was going to be the number 1 team in the country when this all thing started. And they are like a top 10 team in the country. And then Iowa State comes out of nowhere and gets to as high as number 2. And so, mental toughness it is such a thing that this team is going to have, because to your point, yeah, things can turn on a dime, but they can get real bad real quick as well. And, which is why, you've got to take care of business when you go to Stillwater at Oklahoma. And, how are they going to match up with Kansas? Both of you covered this. You do this for a living. Kansas, the last year and a half, too, isn't the Kansas that we all have come to know. Like Kansas, Bill Self hasn't had good years, just having somewhat of down seasons, and they are actually in a good trajectory right now. 19 in the country. It's a top 20 matchup on Saturday. Kansas is playing at Kansas. It is, to me, it is the most pivotal game of the season that I think, depending on how it goes, we're going to look back and go, oh, geez, that's when things spiraled out of control. Similar to how BYU did at Texas Tech, where they were playing tough, and then 9 minutes to go, everything falls apart. I think this game against Kansas becomes monumental, and it can be a turning point for BYU for better or for worse.
There was something promising in the second half when we talk about depth. Kennard Davis Jr. found his stroke, 5 of 8 from 3, 17 points. I mean, that game's not even close if he doesn't step up and at least do that.
And he was game time decision, too.
Yeah, right. Is that a guy? Is that the guy you look at and say, Kennard Davis Jr. has to give them more on a consistent basis?
Well, absolutely, right? I mean, Moo Davis, as he goes by, you guys can actually go to my Twitter and say I actually called out that he was going to have a 5-for-8 game before the game started. And so if either of you want to go to Wyoming, play the lotto, I'm available this afternoon. Call me after the show.
Let's go to Evanston, JT.
I prefer Idaho.
Oh,
you
go to Preston. You go to Preston. I'll take him to Evanston.
Let's split the difference and let's just go up. Let's just go to towards Reno and the I-80 and would be okay. But what I will say is he is just a guy that before last night, the last 4 games, he was 2 for 19 from 3, 0 for 12 for in the last 3 games, and then he starts 0 for 5. I actually was texting Spencer Cox, and he was like, JT, you were so lucky he went 5 for 5 in the second half, because I was ready to give you the hardest time in the world, for your crazy prediction, but he stepped up, and he is a player that, needs to fill out the role that, Mag last year did for BYU, that 3-and-D. Right. And he just hadn't done that. And yesterday he stepped up to the, big time. I'll also say that, like I mentioned, Alexei Kostic comes in and knocks down a couple of threes that was good for his confidence. They just need somebody. Right. I mean, maybe get it done by committee, but somebody needs to do it, because 3 guys scoring, 70% or more of their points. I mean, looking at the difference, the way Arizona guarded them, they were clearly making a wall and say, AJ, thou shalt not pass the free throw line. And, Richie, thou shalt not drive to the baseline. Rob, good luck scoring over us. Now, again, right, Arizona is an exception. This is the number 1 team in the country. Yeah. One of the tallest teams in the entire college basketball scene. And so there's a reason why they made a very good argument last night to be the overall number 1 pick come, the big dance. But, Kennard Davis, glad that he had a better game. More people needs to step up, or to your point, the drag is just going to get heavy, and then it becomes an emotional toll because you lose 2 in a row. Heaven forbid they drop 1 to Oklahoma State, and then you're in a losing streak. And so a lot is at hand for the next 10 days for BYU basketball.
JT, is the season kind of grinds along here, and, BYU has been hit with a couple of injuries there too. In games like that where everybody goes, well, the big 3 have to be able to, and you said it last week, that not one of those guys can not have a great night against really, really good teams. I guess the encouraging thing is that even though they didn't have as that threesome an amazing night, they were still able to get within that 1 point with 11 seconds left. How do you maintain those 3 being able to, night in and night out, especially when that NCAA tournament hits? How do you get them to play at this insane level together all the time? Because it just seems like when they are on and they score 80 points combined, those are awesome games. But those don't happen every night.
Well, to your point, I hope, all three of them have invested in a hyperbaric chamber and, they are able to just get an IV plugged into their arm every night. I mean, and, as funny as that sounded, like, Jesus, this guy crazy. Tell me, this is an NBA type of load that they're carrying where they're playing go look at the minutes. They're playing more than 35 minutes a game, like 2 or 3 times a week. You know what I'm saying? Now, yes, they're getting paid over $1 million, all three of them. And, I don't feel bad because I was playing 30-plus minutes a game, and I had a $900 scholarship check eating ramen noodles out of a cup. You know what I'm saying? But, it's just – it is such a grind. The Big 12, that's the thing too, right? They're playing in the best basketball conference in the country, and it's not even close. Before conference started, the Big 12 was 63-3. I mean, those top, the top part of the league was 63-3. Think about that. That's insane. Between BYU, Arizona, Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Houston. 63-3. And so that's the thing, right? Cream rises to the top. And if BYU wants to take the next step, a couple of things have to happen. Either those guys, truly just become Superman and go to the phone booth and somehow, are able to deliver what they do, or someone needs to step up. But again, it's not like they're playing, I'm going to, just, not to spit away, but I'm glad that they're not a WCC, but this is different. We're also playing against, BYU is also playing against massive competition. And so that's also to be considered part of the equation.
Jonathan Tavernari, BYU great. And of course he does a phenomenal job breaking down this basketball team. They played Arizona. They've got it back on the road again at a historic venue this Saturday against Kansas. And we'll be looking forward to it. JT, thanks again, man, for hanging out with us as usual.
Hey, always a pleasure. Appreciate you guys, and hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks, JT. Have fun on Saturday.
That's a tough one, but they have so many opportunities.
Yeah. Look,
they also look scary, though, too.
Arizona's elite, and that is the standard. That's the team you're going to have to beat to win a national championship. You start looking around, and Michigan is one of those teams, and Houston, obviously, and you know who those elite teams are, and they played one last night. I really think that Arizona can win the whole dang thing. They have everything. You saw their depth. You saw their size. I mean, their freshmen are awesome. They got Koa Pete. I mean, he's going to be a top 8 NBA draft pick. They have everything. And this is who you got to beat if you want to win a national championship. And, the hard part about last night is it's obvious that BYU's not in that tier right now, but they're close. And they are young. And so you can see that with continued development this year, and if anybody on that bench – and even in the starting lineup can step up outside the big 3, BYU can hang with these teams. They only lost by 3 last night to the number 1 team in the country. And AJ and Rob had their worst games of the year.
That's encouraging.
It is. That's my positive spin.
There you go. JJ always looking on the bright side of things.
That's cheer up BYU fans.
That's what I've always said about you. All right, here's what we're going to do. Before we get out to the break, I want to remind you, the KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals teaming up for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. All we do is take your nominations, and those nominations at kslsports.com/contests, and then you listen every Thursday afternoon. We read off those winners for you, and then those folks get a $250 card to spend at Beehive Meals. So there you go. Beehive Meals handing out prizes to them every week. We read those nominations off. We give you a little shout-out on social media as well. And let's honor those people who do the youth sports in your neighborhood to another level. They're all volunteers. Almost all of them are volunteering. And so let's honor those people. Just go to kslsports.com/contests. Also, JJ and I are going to be at the boat show at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy this Friday, 3 to 6. Join us right there. Your opportunity to go check out some boats and anything that has to do with water sports. We'll see you on Friday. All right, we'll take a break. More to go. Hot and cold next. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. Busy night for our local teams here. You got the Utah Mammoth, who are staying in the state of Florida tonight after last night's 2-0 loss to Tampa Bay. They go to the Florida Panthers tonight. You're going to hear that pregame starting in about 20 minutes here, right on this very dial. And, of course, the Utah Jazz tonight are playing a late one. You'll be able to double dip and get both of those games, no problem, right?
Yeah.
As soon as that Mammoth game gets over, you can either listen to it right here, the Jazz tonight versus the Clippers over here at Delta Center, or how about this? It's on KSL 5 television. Does that sound weird saying it out loud like that?
Oh, it sounds good, though.
It does.
Pre-game show starts at 7.
Okay.
We got Will Hardy. Got Ben Anderson of the KSL Sports Zone.
So you guys got to sit down with Will.
Yeah.
How's his temperament right now? So I feel like
he's great.
Speaking of hot and cold, that's a guy who's like, man, we're just making great progress. And he's like, we just lost by 30. Don't ask me about triple doubles.
He wasn't grumpy.
I like it.
I think he got all that out.
Good.
Before we, it may have been just prior to that. I have no idea.
I'm just going to tell you right now.
There was not. He was very introspective. You're going to enjoy the interview.
JJ and Matt Glade have done a phenomenal job putting this thing together. It's a 1-hour special. Walking up to the Jazz tipping off on KSL 5. The NBA on NBC is back. So there you go. You guys have put a lot of work into this thing. So dip in, see what it's like back to have some local NBC NBA programming. Sounds crazy to say. So when they do it, you get the pregame, then you get to get Bob Costas' voice bringing you into the basketball game tonight.
Costas? It's not 1998, bro. We got Mike Tirico.
No, I know. I was just saying because I think the lead-in still has like the old NBA on NBC kind of like fire up open.
Albert.
It still sounds like a no. Bob Costas doesn't have the call. Heaven help us if that were the case. No, Tirico's doing.
He's too busy railing on Trump on one of those cable news networks. Nobody hates Trump more than Bob Costas.
Anyway, basketball tonight, hockey tonight, all of it.
Because we care what Bob thinks about politics.
But I do have some Jazz tickets to give away because it is a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. So if you're just calling number 12 right now, it's not to tonight's game, but it is to the Brooklyn Nets coming into town this very Friday. So you call in right now, 801-575-ZONE. You win a pair of tickets to see the Jazz versus the Nets coming into town on Friday at Delta Center at 7:30. So there you go. Hot and cold. Yeah, you know what? You can't. This is one of the hottest teams in hockey, if not the hottest team, and they were taking on one of the hottest teams, the other hottest team in hockey
in their building,
if not the
in the middle of
team.
a road trip.
So I get it. It wasn't a phenomenal result. You get 0 goals on a night. Anytime you get shut out, it's a tough deal. But that's a really good Tampa Bay team. And the hot and cold part of this, by the way, bringing warmth home is Croft Fireplace. Great sponsors of our hot and cold segment here. Upgrade today with free basic installation on qualifying purchases. Croft Fireplace, where warmth becomes home. So that winning streak comes to an end. I don't think anybody thought to themselves that they're going to sweep the East here on this swing. But they do have a chance to make it up tonight at Florida, a team that is more gettable. I don't know who the starting goaltender is going to be, though. Does Vitek?
It's got to be Vanacek, right?
Yeah, I would.
You can't ask Veggie to go back-to-back nights. It's got to be Vanacek against his old team.
I mean, I'll ask him to go back-to-back. You want me to? You want me to call him? Like, you need him, man. I know
you're a demanding guy.
Well, but they've been playing him like crazy. I mean, he has the most wins in the NHL as a goalie, but he also has like the most starts.
Right.
I mean, they are.
He's been an Iron Man this year.
Yes, and so I do like the idea of Vitek Vanacek coming in because on these back-to-backs they'll sit Veggie, and I don't anticipate he'd be playing tonight, but you'd probably see him in Carolina on Thursday. But what has to happen tonight? Because it was an ugly game, but it was a well-played game up until about those last 2 minutes of the third period when they gave up that. The power play is tough. Penalty kill is tough. This is one of the best teams, not just on the ice, but they score goals during power plays. They're the best in the league at it, and they scored 2 power play goals last night against this Mammoth team.
You just got to generate more offense. You got to find a way. And I give credit to Tampa. They were phenomenal last night. But you also have to give credit to the Mammoth. Tampa never scored a non-power play goal in that game. Yeah. Both goals came on the power play, and if you get that many power play chances, you're eventually going to break through. And unfortunately, the Mammoth had just too many penalties. The Lawson Krause one was brutal. That was basically the end of the game. There was no way that they were going to be able to hold that off and then get what very little time they were going to have to win the game. And then obviously giving them chances multiple times on the power play. It's just a matter of time. Maybe that's what Utah needs to do: create more power play opportunities tonight. But they've just got to get they got to get out there and be more aggressive offensively. How much do they have left in the tank, though? I mean, that's hard to ask when, what do you have to do to get more offensively? You got to be fast. You got to be fresh. And I don't know that the Mammoth are going to have fresh legs tonight. So, they put Veggie out there last night. They tried to go get one of the best teams in the East last night. They came up short. How much do you have left in the tank tonight? How deep can you dig tonight against a Florida Panthers team that's at home that is starting to dig out of their own hole that they built for themselves? And they are just a couple points out of getting back into that wild card mix. The Panthers have won 3 in a row. They're playing better hockey right now. I think Tkachuk came back. There's a lot going on with them that's positive. There's a lot stacked against the Mammoth tonight. And it would be something if they're able to find a way to at least get it to overtime to get a point. At least get it to overtime. I think tonight's going to have to be one of those grinders because I just don't think they can do the things that they would need to do to be explosive offensively. Can you grind out a win? Can you play great defense tonight? If it's Vanacek in net, then he's going to be highly motivated against his former team to go out there and play really well.
Yeah.
That's how I see tonight. I can't imagine Utah going in there and scoring 4 or 5 goals, maybe not even 3. You're going to have to grind out a win tonight,
or at least
last year.
Get
it to OT.
Yeah, it was 2-1 last year against this team in overtime, and I think you can go in, and they were better last year at this moment. And so this is a team, and again, they did the same thing last year. They had a back-to-back, and they played really well that second night of the back-to-back. They played really well last night, but we'll see. We'll see how this grind kind of works, for this team. So looking forward to it. That top of the hour, by the way, is going to be a pregame for you of this Utah Mammoth, and then you're going to get a 5 o'clock puck drop as well. All right, we'll come back. We've got more to go around the. Are we trying to jam in more Jazz tickets? No, we're just going to do that one. Okay. I'm glad we're not trying to give away one every 7 minutes on the 1 hour edition of the show. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Would you rather right around the corner? Get you ready for the Mammoth and the Jazz coming up tonight. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It's JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Mammoth at the top of the hour here with their pregame and a 5 o'clock puck drop. Utah Jazz, 7 o'clock pregame and an 8 o'clock tip over at Delta Center. And, of course, you'll be able to catch that either right over the airwaves here with the KSL Sports Zone, or how about the NBA back on NBC tonight? And JJ's going to be hosting a pregame on KSL 5 tonight starting at 7. Yes?
Correct, yes. 1 hour full pregame show.
Full pregame show.
Will Hardy, our own Ben Anderson, Kristen Peak with the draft breakdown. We're all got to look ahead to the lottery. Right?
Yeah, listen.
Every top prospect, she has all the info for, so you know who to look out for.
Utah Jazz, dead last in scoring defense in the league. The question is can they keep up with the scoring side of things against this Clippers team tonight?
Without Keontae George, probably not. Key out tonight with rest.
Yep.
But the good news is Lauri Markkanen is back after that awful illness that caused him to lose 10 pounds. And Lauri will play tonight. Nurk out. I think everybody else is on board, though. Kevin Love should play.
No Nurk. No Key. Yeah, I mean, you got to get your feet under you again, and I know that they got him back to conditioning level, Lauri, that is.
Yeah.
But that first game back is always a little bit of a shock to the system, right?
You never know what to expect from a guy. So I assume if he's back, he's full strength, so could be a big night for Lauri Markkanen.
Mammoth Panthers tonight. It's the second night of a back-to-back. Vitek likely in the between the pipes for the Mammoth at his old team. How's this one shake out for the Mammoth tonight?
They got to grind this out, get it to overtime. We'll see what happens.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to get the full breakdown, of course, right now at 4 o'clock. You're going to get the pregame show right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. We'll be back again tomorrow right here on the KSL Sports Zone.